All right. Hello, friends. Hello. It's so good to see you all again. It's Raquel from Our Infinite Nature here to share about the upcoming Aquarius full moon. And I'm so excited because today I have my dear friend and collaborator, Sarah Bance, here with me. Sarah, please introduce yourself.
Hi, yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So I have a business where I help small business owners get aligned in their business using astrology. So I use predictive astrology to help them not only tap into the collective energy, because when we're doing business, we're working with the collective, we're marketing to the collective. So it's kind of nice to get a feel for what people are feeling, might be experiencing right now. And then I also use personal predictive astrology, which gives you more of an understanding of how the planets above are hitting your personal chart so that you can kind of plan accordingly for the year, for the quarter, for the month, whatever it may be. Because with business, there's natural ebbs and flows, as always. And so astrology can give us a little bit of foresight as to when those are coming. So maybe we can plan around with launch dates, when it's time to hunker down, do some work, or do some collaborations. It's just nice to get a little taste of what's coming up.
Yeah.
So I offer predictive astrology readings all geared towards business owners. And I also follow through with business operations and organization if you want some project management to help you execute on those goals.
And I am so lucky because I've been working with Sarah for almost a year now. Sarah's been so helpful for me in my business. She's done some predictive astrology for me, and we're very lucky here in the moon community now because Sarah is also, and there's a rainbow on her lip, which I love. It's amazing. With Sarah and the rainbow on her face.
I love
Sarah is
it.
our resident astrologer for our intuitive moon community, for my Moonblog. So I'm just really excited to now have this kind of collaboration go to YouTube, to our videos. And I reached out to Sarah because I was like, let's do this together. I love chatting about the moon energy, about astrology, like a conversation. And so for me, also, it's just way more fun to chat about it this
Yes.
way. So I'm really happy to have Sarah here to have her bring her expertise, her astrological insights in because as I mentioned to you all many times, I am not an astrologer. I love astrology. I study little bits of it, but by no means would I call myself an astrologer. I do not speak the full language. I am an intuitive who works primarily with the energies of the moon, works a lot with the moon messengers, which are these spiritual beings that come and tell me interesting things. And so I like to share a lot about the moon energy, and I love being able to tap on Sarah to help us a little bit more with the astrology. So let's just dive right into the energies
Do it.
of the upcoming Aquarius full moon, which is happening on August 19th, 2024. There's a lot of other astrology happening around this full moon. So while I know so many of us are just ready for like a really chill lunation, like, yeah, it's not coming. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be straight up.
No, it is not.
This is not going to be a chill lunation. This is going to be another dramatic full moon. Probably highly dramatic full moon from what I'm seeing in the astrology, which Sarah will speak to as well. Before we get into the astrology, I just want to point out the theme that I intuited for this Aquarius full moon, which is we are so much more than all or nothing. We will probably feel a bit activated in our polarities, in our duality, in where we are versus where we want to be, in our optimism versus our pessimism when it comes to this Aquarius full moon. The astrology speaks a lot to that, which we'll get to in a moment. But I just want to talk just a little bit about Aquarius and Aquarian energies. I think a lot of times people think of Aquarius and they're like, it's a water sign because aqua is literally in that term. And Aquarius is known as the water bearer. That's what they're represented by. But Aquarius is actually the fixed air sign, which means Aquarius impacts us a lot in our minds, in our thoughts, in our mindset. And when we think about Aquarius, we think about innovation, we think about progress, we think about uniqueness, individuality. But what's cool about Aquarian individuality, it's like an individuality that feeds into the greater good. It's individuality for the highest for all. There's Aquarius has this very I am for all kind of energy. And Sarah, I would love to just kind of tap into your understanding of Aquarius in terms of sort of
Yeah.
like the light sides of Aquarius and maybe some of the shadow sides of Aquarius as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, what I find really interesting about Aquarius is that in traditional astrology, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. And when we say traditional, we say this because a lot of the way outer planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto weren't discovered yet.
Yeah.
So, this is all they had to work with. In modern astrology, it's ruled by Uranus, which is very aligned with everything you just said. Innovation, progression, changing the status
Rebellion. Yeah.
quo, rebellion, absolutely. However, when we look at the traditional understanding of Aquarius ruled by Saturn, that Saturn is all about responsibility. It's about the structure, the systems of which hold us together. And Aquarius brings in that sort of disruption or innovation into those systems, which is why it's so related to humanity, because but it gives it a sense of like stability in that distr dis disruption, if that makes sense.
It's like being comfortable with the
So
discomfort.
exactly, like it's not necessarily chaotic, as we might feel like eclipse season and things like that. It's yes, it's disruption, but it's in a way to make it better.
It's transformative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because what are systems if we're not constantly looking at them to make sure they're aligned for the people they were created for?
Totally. Totally. And I think what's really interesting, I love that you brought up,
Um,
oh, sorry, sorry, go ahead.
we
Um,
cut off a little bit there.
yeah. Oh, technology. We're still in Mercury retrograde, everyone, friends. So
That we are.
we might have a little bit of that as well. Am I frozen, Sarah? Are you, can you hear me? Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. We're back. Okay, we're back.
Yes, last thing is like we're still Mercury
Yeah.
retrograde. That we are, and Mercury is activated this week too. So the
Oh
fact
yeah,
that we're both
last
here is
week.
a miracle.
Whew, last week was intense. Okay, anyway, so I love that you brought up both Saturn and Uranus because both of those planets have a big impact on this particular full moon, which we
Yes.
will talk about as well. But one of the things that is really interesting about Aquarian energy is this kind of it actually reminds me a lot of the crown chakra when I think about like the chakra system, because the crown chakra is all about individualization, right?
Yes.
And that each and every one of us is a unique part of a greater whole.
Mhm.
And it's this recognition that actually when each of us become who we've always meant to be, the individual, the divinity that is inside each and every one of us, when we actually align to that and become it, that feeds the greater whole. So for me, Aquarius energy and crown chakra energy are very, very similar. Now, one of the things that Aquarius energy is known for, which can be both a good thing and a bad thing, depending on how we utilize it, is emotional detachment or emotional
Yes.
disassociation. And
Yes.
when I was feeling into the energies of this particular full moon, it kind of felt like the emotional detachment could be a could be a really beneficial way for us to work with some of the chaos drama energies of this full moon. But for us to understand how to work with the emotional detachment in a beneficial way, we really need to be able to differentiate what is the difference between emotional detachment and disassociation. And so for me, when I feel into the energies of these two things, emotional detachment for me is the intention to actually separate from emotional cords in order to feel more present and whole right here, right now. Whereas like the emotions could have you stuck in the past or future tripping, right? Like emotional detachment is about actually becoming present,
Yeah.
recognizing we're whole right here, right now. Whereas disassociation feels like the intention to let go of emotions, to not feel presence in the here
Right.
and now. And in fact, often to feel absolutely nothing. which
Absolutely.
one of those things actually helps us get to where we want to go by being in the power of the present moment, while the other one actually distracts us and takes us away from our
Yeah,
power of the present moment by just completely kind of being nowhere.
exactly. Yes. I would say too that the healthier side of emotional detachment is how we can not take things so personally.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
right? And look at things objectively. Like
Yes.
instead of being like, something hard is happening to me, instead of be like, why me? Why is this happening? I'm terrible. All of this, it's like, okay, this is happening. This is uncomfortable. However, let's just look at it objectively so we can get through it.
Yes. Yes.
When you're taking it personally, you're just staying right in it, right in the circle.
In that victim
Yeah.
consciousness, 100%.
Yes.
And that's so
Right.
important because what you're speaking to is sacred neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
Sacred neutrality is actually the energy of unconditional love. It's the energy of the
Mm.
heart chakra, a balanced heart chakra. It's the energy of the universe. The
Oh, I love it.
universe looks at everything from the perspective of unconditional love, which means the universe doesn't look at our human existence and look at things like that's right, that's wrong, that's good, that's bad, that's holy, that's evil.
It just is.
It just is. Everything just is, right? And everything is loved from the perspective of the universe.
Mm.
Everything is for some kind of higher purpose, higher understanding. And I do think with this Aquarius full moon, we do have the potential, the invitation with this Aquarius full moon to release some of that all or nothing, good versus bad, dualistic thinking in order to come back to a place of sacred neutrality, present power, so that we can actually move toward the progress that we truly desire and that the Aquarius energy really pushes us toward. Now, we have a tight Uranus square with this full moon, and we have a really big astrological transit with a square between Jupiter and Saturn with this transit as well.
Yes.
What I've been feeling and intuitively is that around this full moon, we are going to be feeling a lot of polarizing, dualistic, all or nothing, black or white, I'm right, so you're wrong energies, especially here in the USA. Not surprising. We're in a presidential election year. That shit sells.
Of
Sorry, excuse
course.
my
It
like
does.
we
It
know.
does.
But we're probably going to feel really activated in that all or nothing. I'm amazing or I suck.
Yeah.
And on a personal level, I think it's going to be very much like I'm here and I want to be there kind of energies. Like I
Yes.
think that Saturn and Jupiter connecting in that way, squaring in that way, are
Yeah.
really going to amplify that for us because Jupiter is like unlimited possibilities and Saturn is like no limitations. Jupiter is like
Precisely.
Mr. Optimistic and Saturn is like actually oh I just spilled my tea all over the floor.
I heard it.
And Saturn
Jupiter is expansive.
seriously,
Your tea
and
on the
then Saturn
ground.
comes in and spills your tea all over the
Yeah.
floor.
Reminds us that we need to keep it in a nice small space.
Totally like boundaries can be good,
Yeah.
they can be necessary.
I love
Beautiful
it.
representation of that for you all. Just so on a personal level, we're going to feel a little bit of that push and pull between like what I want and what I have, where I am and where I want to be. On a collective level, it's going to be a little bit more of like, I'm right, my side is right, that side is wrong. A little bit of like moral superiority, a
Yes.
little, and we're already seeing that in so many ways in the world. And you know, I think what I see a lot, and this is kind of a red flag for me sometimes, I see a lot of times in spiritual spaces, people going into a kind of like spiritual supremacy, a moral
Yes.
supremacy, and saying that's spirituality. But it's not because spirituality doesn't create hierarchies. Spirituality doesn't create division and polarity in the same way. Yes, duality and polarity is a part of our human existence, but it's a part of what we're here to integrate. It's a part that we're here to actually recognize we bring these energies together into this kind of like third
Right.
energy, the Trinity
Right.
in some ways, right? And that's like the true spirituality. So when you're out there and you're following certain spiritual teachers who are letting you know, like, no, no, I'm right, everyone else is wrong. Like to me, that's always a red flag,
Red flag.
especially
Absolutely.
around this lunation, around this particular transit with the Saturn and Jupiter square. Sarah, please tell us more about the Saturn and Jupiter square, because I know it's like a larger story as well.
Yes.
But I would love like just the astrological perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Jupiter transits, we generally feel them for about a week or so on either side of exactitude. So it's exact on the same day as the full moon on Monday.
Yes, it is.
And so we're already feeling it,
Yeah.
going into the week. We're going to be feeling it afterwards as well too. And like you said, Jupiter and Saturn kind of have to an extent opposite impacts, where Jupiter is the biggest planet. It's very expansive, it's inspirational, it's about the bigger picture, it's about looking forward, while Saturn is more about reality. What do we have right here? What's restricting us right now? What are our boundaries?
Yeah.
And when these two come together in a conversation of tension, there's it serves as a reality check, which again might sound scary to some, but it's very necessary because if we were living somewhat in a dream, or if we have expectations on ourselves that come from outside of ourselves, it's gonna be known. They're gonna show themselves very clearly with this transit. And so what it does is it gives us an opportunity. Yeah, it might cause frustrations, but those frustrations are just tools to be like, let me look into this at a deeper level.
Yeah.
And you can ask yourself, where are these expectations coming from? Are they coming from a place of that's what I should do as a business owner? Are they coming from family expectations? And if they're giving you frustrations, it's a sign that maybe they're not aligned anymore. Maybe they need
Yeah.
to change.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you just
So
shared there. Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, because I'm
Oh.
gonna move it along.
I love what you just shared there, because really, when I was feeling into the energies of this Aquarius full moon, it was kind of this reminder that it's not really about right or wrong, it's about alignment. And so
Exactly.
while we have a lot of the astrology around this full moon that's going to be illuminating within us a lot of that push and pull between, optimism and pessimism, where I am versus where I want to be, right versus wrong, good versus bad, like all of that, expansion versus constriction, all of that, this Aquarius full moon actually kind of comes in as an opportunity for us to let that go. To first illuminate, yes, we all have duality within us. And then, like with every full moon, it's an illumination and a release, right? So the Aquarius full moon is actually inviting us to let go of that duality of right versus wrong, of black
Yes.
versus white, so that we can feel into and be present with the truth of what just is, which will then allow us to have less resistance and more flow into what it is we truly desire. And, we talked a little bit about that emotional detachment that Aquarius can bring in, and the sacred neutrality. And the sacred neutrality is so important because, again, especially with what we're seeing in the world, especially with war and with politics, which is like big stories happening here and now, especially in the United States, we can get so bogged down in this right versus wrong, good versus bad, and we literally create hate for the other side. We create more division, more hatred, more fear, where we're actually being called to recognize, no, that's not what's happening here. This is an illumination for us to recognize we're creating a division that doesn't actually exist.
Hmm.
It does, or it doesn't
Exactly.
have to exist.
It
I mean,
doesn't
it does
have
exist right
to.
now. Hey,
Right.
hey, Saturn's telling us it's here. It is here. It does
Right.
exist. Let's not like love and light our way out of like reality.
Right. And
Have to
Jupiter is
say.
just right, exactly. And Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini, which is about duality, but in the sense of accepting that two opposing things can be true at once.
That's like
So
my
we're,
favorite thing.
it
I
really
I don't know
is.
why, like my soul loves the complexity of like I can feel two things at once. Like
Yeah,
I can
right?
hold two truths at the same time. Like my soul
Exactly.
gets really expansive with that.
Same. I feel like it's a very important lesson of time on life on this earth at this period because, like we're saying, we're really on this good or bad, black or white.
Yeah.
So to understand that it's way, we as human beings are way more complex than that. I think we're just learning how to embrace that. That's really what spirituality is to me, is accepting all the sides and not having judgment for these things.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that Jupiter moved into Gemini earlier this year and it's getting activated by Saturn, which is all about right, wrong, good, bad, all, just naturally Saturn carries those energies. People who have really strong Saturn placements are going to have a really strong sense of judgment as well. I mean, I'm one of them, I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie. So I get it. Something else I want to bring up about the astrology, I just want to say almost like every planet is very involved with this full moon chart, like very involved. Um, the Saturn square Jupiter is also not exact, but only a couple degrees out of opposite, forming a T square with Venus. So
Oh.
that means that Venus is opposite to Saturn, and it's also forming a square to Jupiter.
Okay.
And
So
with
some
T
tension
squares, it's,
with like
oh yeah,
values,
oh
relationship.
yeah, values, relationships, finances. So that just kind of flavors this energy that it might have to do with, the people, your relationships, the people you're involved with, not just like romantic relationships, but friendships as well. And finances. I feel like finances touches all of us. And so with that, we might be looking at our self-worth and, oh, I'm not bringing in the money, so that means that I'm not good enough, that I need to quit my dreams, things like that. Um, and on top of that, we have Mars will be 2 degrees away from Jupiter, so it's very close to being conjunct to
Mm,
Jupiter. And Mars is all about the energy. Mars is all about motivation, desire, action,
yeah.
physical energy. And when Jupiter and Mars come together, in any other circumstance, it's really more so exciting and provides opportunities that you then have the energy to take on those opportunities. But with all these other harsh transits, that energy can easily build up to be frustration and
Yeah.
aggression
Like
and
you're acting,
assertion.
but you're not being met in your actions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's limitations.
Yeah.
You're ready to go. You're ready to take action, but there's obstacles, there's delays, there's reasons why you can't. Maybe you don't know which direction
Yeah.
to go in. So we're going to feel a lot of that, like, I need to do something, but I don't know what to do
Yeah. Yeah.
energy.
So,
Yeah.
and as Sarah and I are sharing this, this is not to like frighten anyone in any way, nothing to be afraid of. This is just acknowledgement because we are all emotionally volatile beings. And sometimes it
Yeah.
actually is really helpful for us to recognize this isn't just me being like dramatic or emotional. This is me actually being really attuned to the energies at play and sensitive to what the universe is throwing down, and that can be actually quite empowering. And I think the
Yes.
moon actually always comes in to remind us that we have way more authority over our own energy than this chaotic world will have us believe. So I
Yes.
actually love that we have this Aquarius full moon paired with some of these larger transits because it's always this invitation of, and we can let this go and come back to a place of grounded centeredness. And when I felt it intuitively, to the energy of this full moon, there was a couple things that came in. First and foremost, it took me right to my right foot, and like my right foot got really tingly. And my right foot is an area in my body that needs a little extra support lately. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I heard the words, support is always where you need it most. So I was like,
Mm,
oh, okay. So let's first of all ground into the fact that we are all supported. We are all like, we all have support. It's definitely spiritual support. I mean, I have my belief as to how much spiritual support we all have. Of course, people have their own beliefs, but in my belief, we're all extremely spiritual supported at any time. And then I was also given the message intuitively that it's really, really important for people to do a lot of grounding and
yes.
connection with earth and pulling in earth energy around this full moon in particular. And that's just because of the chaos and drama that is associated with it and that highly Aquarian energy that can get us really up in our heads and completely out of our bodies. Now, if we don't stay in our bodies, we might go into disassociation versus utilizing our bodies and our presence in our bodies to actually detach from emotions so that we can be present. I know I've shared a lot about grounding in previous videos, but let me just say again, it's very, very simple to ground yourself to the energy of Earth. Just imagine energetic roots extending from your feet or your sit bone down into Earth as deep as you want them to go. Let them anchor in anywhere you feel intuitively guided or where you just want to be. It could be other roots, it could be a crystal cave, it could be an underground river. I mean, literally, it could be lava, it could be whatever you want. But anchor your roots in there and then breathe that earth energy up into your body with your inhale. And as you exhale, receive that earth energy into every cell. So you breathe the earth energy up into your body as you inhale, and you receive the earth energy in every cell of your body and the first layer of your auric field as you exhale. That's it. You can do it anywhere. Okay. So that's just one simple grounding practice. Other simple things: go for a walk, do some dancing, do some manic practices, get some exercise, get out of your head, get into your body. It's going to be very beneficial. Now, Sarah, you had also mentioned Uranus has a tight square to this particular full moon. Uranus is the planet of rebellion, kind of like the Aquarian, like innovation,
Yes.
kind of like let your freak flag fly energy. One of the things I picked up with the Uranus square was just the fact that it actually will make us feel a little bit more open to change, a little bit less
Yes.
resistant to change. So that actually can be beneficial with all the
Yes.
change that's in the air with this full moon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, I know disruption is kind of a dramatic word. Um, However, it's necessary because otherwise we're just sticking to the status quo.
Yeah.
If we don't have a little bit of disruption, then we're going to be following the same rules in society that we were hundreds, thousands of years ago, which to an extent we might be. But anyways,
Maybe why we're in the mess we're in, you know.
yeah, we might. That's a different story. However, so it is good to, I mean, with a full moon, we always have the sun opposite
Yeah.
the moon, right? So with Uranus squaring both of them, again, we have another T square. So it's all about this push-pull energy. And with the moon, that is our sense of security, our emotions, and the sun is our sense of self, our identity. And so that with this Uranus coming in, it's also asking us to change how we might be showing up.
Mm.
And we also have Venus involved with our self-worth. So how does how we're showing up have an impact on our self-worth in our relationships, if that makes sense?
Ooh,
Yeah,
I like
which
that.
is perfect that this also came after the new moon in Leo, which is why Leo and Aquarius, are on the same axis. But, Leo is all about how we're showing up, how we express ourselves. And so this is just a continuation of that cycle of figuring out how we can show up and really looking at how we can change the status quo of how we've been showing up.
Mm.
Like maybe we show up in a certain way of, okay, I'm with my family. These are my roles in my family. This is how I show up. But this full moon is really asking us to just reflect on that, review on that. Why are you showing up in that way? Is that how you actually want to show up? Or
Right.
is that just how you're expected to show up? Is there a way you can start to tinker a little bit with how you're showing up so that you can show up more authentically? Do you overextend yourself? And especially with Jupiter coming into play, look at, are you overextending yourself? Do you come home exhausted from social interactions? Um, and instead of judging yourself for that or judging the social interaction you went to, it's about getting curious, Gemini, about why that is. Why do I get exhausted? Maybe that's a sign that I can change the way I'm showing up so that I actually come home energized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Uranus, it does bring, that's what I mean by disruption. Like something may happen where you're like, okay, I I've been feeling this subconsciously, but now I really need to take some, I don't want to say action necessarily because reflection could be considered action, but
Yeah.
just get intentional with it.
Yeah. I think reflection is definitely action, especially for this full moon, because we're still in Mercury retrograde as well. And
Yes.
when we're in Mercury retrograde, like reflection, reassessment, refinement, like that's the name of the game, right? So those are the
Yes.
best kind of actions we can take in this Mercury retrograde, Aquarius full moon, Jupiter, Saturn
All the
square,
things.
like all the
Yeah.
things are happening. Give yourself the time and space to reflect and do so without the judgment. That is so huge. And if you feel yourself activated in judgment during this full moon, which you might feel, just take that as like, okay, this is the illumination. How can I let go of this judgment and move into curiosity? And I love that you kept bringing in curiosity. That's my word for 2024. It's
Me
definitely
too.
a challenge I give myself when I go into judgment, which I can do quite easily.
Yeah.
Um, and so noticing when you're in a place of judgment, whether you're judging other people or whether you're judging yourself. And please know also, whenever you're in a place of high judgment on other people, you're also judging yourself. Like it is, they go hand
Yes.
in hand. You might not be
Hand in
reflecting
hand.
on
Yeah.
it, but they go hand in hand. So
Yes.
take the time to sit, have some quiet, reflect, get in your body.
Yeah.
That's going to be really beneficial with this particular Aquarius.
Yes.
Yeah. Any
And
last?
one last thing I
Yeah.
just want to add to that is a couple days before Uranus and Mercury come into a square, another conversation of tension, which is going to be having our mind feeling restless.
Yeah.
Um, so that just adds the like, oh, I need to do something energy, which bringing in Mars could create some impulsivity.
Yeah.
So again, just doubling down on reflection. If you really feel like you need to do something, something's so wrong, take to pen and paper.
Yeah.
If there's someone safe that you feel talking to help figure it out, whether it's a friend, your therapist, just try to get curious. Like that, I feel like that's the safest action is to get curious and not with the person you're having an issue with,
With
you
yourself,
know,
with yourself.
with yourself to dive into what it really means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Sarah, thank you so much. This was
Yay.
super fun and also really informative. Friends, if you want more about this Aquarius full moon, please check out the Moonblog. It's linked below. We've got some journal prompts in there. Sarah has her astrological forecast written in there. I, of course, have my information from my intuitive connection and just right, everything's there in the Moonblog. If you're looking for some journal prompts, we've got that there as well. Also, please follow us along on social media. You can follow me at Our Infinite Nature Raquel and at Intuitive Moon Co. And you can follow Sarah at Hella Fluid Collective, all on IG. So please go ahead and follow us there. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for coming and watching. Please let us know how you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, any questions, please link them, write them below. Everything you need is down there. And of course, if you love this kind of content, please follow, like, subscribe, share, and save. And head on over to Sarah's channel also to see everything she provides with the astrological forecasts, the transits. She has a wealth of information for you out there, especially if you love astrology and especially if you want to utilize astrology in your small business. So check that out as well. Sarah, we adore you, and hopefully we'll have you on next time too.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.